Great to see you here again. In this new video, I will talk about the project business documents and the business case. First, we will look at the business documents that are part of the project and that are very important for our projects, and also the business case and the project benefits management plan. The project business documents start with the project business case. It's where we define the project, basically, where we evaluate the possible projects, and when the project business case has been selected to be transformed or to be executed, we will use it to create the project charter. From the project charter, and once it is approved, we will create a project management plan where we have basically all the information about cost, risk, and we can compare this with the project business case. The last element that we have as a business document is the benefits management plan. And we're going to look in most of these things. We will be looking into the project business case and the benefits management plan in this video. Then when we look at the project business documents, the first of them is the project business case. This is basically a documented economic feasibility study, and the goal is to establish the validity of the benefit. Do we have a good return on investment, a payback time, a net present value, internal rate of return, and is the risk acceptable? It's the basis for future project management decisions and actions, and we will keep the business case during the entire project because it contains the main reasons, financial and risk reasons, why we want to have this project. The project sponsor is accountable for the development and the maintenance of the business case. It can be adjusted because things can change, and a business case, once it's approved, basically is a fixed document. But as long as we have the business case, we may adjust it to circumstances. It can also happen that the assumptions that we use to make the business case are not valid anymore, and then we have to review the business case and see what happens to the project. The project manager typically can provide recommendations, and we can consider a business case on project or on program level. The project benefits management plan is basically a documented explanation defining the processes for creating, maximizing, and sustaining the benefits provided by the project. So basically it's a plan showing what benefits you will get out of this project. When we look at the business case, we can look at the business needs. And the first thing we have is what is prompting the need to action. And basically this is answering the question, why do we need this project? Then we have a statement documenting the business problem or opportunity. What is the problem and how do we solve it? What is the opportunity that we have? What business value do we get when we realize this project? We also look at stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders that will be affected by the project or can affect the project? And very important also, it's an indication of the scope. Typically, the business case will also contain a high-level scope statement that can be used and adjusted in the project charter. We also have the business case and the analysis of the situation. First of all, we have the identification of the organizational strategies, goals, and objectives. Then we have the root causes of the problem or the contributors of the opportunity. Why do we have a problem? Or what is the opportunity? So when we have an opportunity, we can say we're making a new car like the Lexus, or we have a problem. We are looking at resolving some issues in our production, for example. There is also a gap analysis between the things we need and what is existing. What are the capabilities we need and what is existing? And that difference is basically showing us what we have to realize in order to comply, in order to realize this business case. We have an identification of known risks. What are the risks that we understand at this moment? Of course, we can identify more risks later when we are doing the planning of the project. The next thing is the identification of the critical success factors. It's very important to understand when can we consider that our project is a success. And we have to do that very early, because if we don't define the project success factors, we may have difficulties later to define what do we really want. What is a successful project? We have to define this at the level of the business case. And also, we have to identify the decision criteria by which the various courses of action may be addressed. When we look at criteria categories of the business case, we have the required items. The required items are these criteria that must be fulfilled in order to resolve the issue or the problem. For example, structural needs to construct a building. We cannot leave them out. We have to have those. We have to have minimum requirements, and these are the things that we cannot leave out of the business case. We have the desired elements. It's nice to have, but when we do not have them, the solution is still acceptable. It's a good deal, but not a deal breaker. For example, a finishing of some construction elements. Optional elements, these are things that are not essential, but they can be a differentiator between alternatives, but not what we are worried about. So there may be some things that could be nice. We could have an open roof, but it's not really necessary. We can have some additional features, which could be in some cases a differentiator, but they're not necessary to have a successful project. We also have to look at different options that we can do. We can say, do nothing. This means we keep the business as usual. We do not change the existing situation, and basically the project will not be authorized. Do nothing, we've seen that in the decision making. We had different elements when we said, okay, we have an investment, we do nothing, where we really are doing nothing. So basically we're not investing. And the second thing we had was we keep the existing situation. In that case, we did not change the ongoing operations because the other options were not acceptable, were not better than the existing one. Minimal work, let's say we will look at the minimal work, we look at the key elements only, and it's just to resolve the problem or to realize the opportunity, but nothing more. We can do more than minimum, so we do some additional features that will increase the value. These items may be described in the business case. We may do something extra. We will provide that open roof, or we will provide some additional elements. And sometimes these elements can be important, but of course they also come with a cost. When we look at the project benefits management plan, we have first of all the target benefits. These are the expected tangible and intangible value that will be gained by the implementation of the project, and value is typically expressed as net present value meaning a profit. We look at the strategic alignment. How is the project, or are the project objectives aligned with the business strategy, the strategy of the organization of your department? Very important parameter. Time frame, well, we look at the benefits that we create by project phase. So we can look at different phases, short term. Every phase has some benefits, but we can also look at the totality of all the benefits when we look at the long-term and ongoing benefits of the project. Owner, who is accountable to monitor, who will be doing all these things, who will be evaluating that the benefits have been realized through the time frame of the plan. So here we're looking at what did we do related to the milestones. We may have some milestones there, and we want to realize some benefits by the time we reach those milestones. We also have metrics. How do we evaluate those benefits. We may have direct and indirect measurements. We can see what are the elements that had to be implemented, what is the cost, how is it, how are people feeling about it. So there are different metrics that we can use, direct and indirect measures that we have. What are the assumptions? Always important to see which assumptions we make, because assumptions are basically elements that can lead to risks. An assumption that is not met means that there is a risk factor emerging. Risks also, what are the possible risks that we can encounter, and how can we resolve these risks or deal with those risks? So that's more related to the risk management plan. A very important element is success measures, is about success measures. What is success? How will we measure success? What are the impacting factors that may impact success? So it's very important to say, well, my project will be successful if I reach this and this and these parameters by these or these times. Or my project is successful, for example, when I realize a 20% savings on the work that I was improving. Things like that. You have to clearly define when is a project successful. And it's important, like I said before, to do it at the beginning of the project. Doing it later leaves everything open for interpretations. We look at the success criteria, so completing the project benefits management plan, meeting agreed upon financial parameters, meeting non-financial objectives, the movement from an old state to a new state. How did that go? Were there issues? Were problems solved? So there are a number of things that you can expect if you change from one software platform or from one management platform to another. What is the expected downtime? What are the things that you have there? We look at the satisfaction of the stakeholders and meeting overall described success criteria. I remember one project we had with AT&T where we had to do a disaster recovery exercise together with IBM, and basically we were working basically for IBM with the customer, and the statement was that in order to have everything working, it would probably take another 2 or 3 weeks, because everything you had to do it again and it's never working and things like that. So basically we were quite happy about the negative expectations that were put there. And basically when we did a switch over from the main network to the backup network, everything switched automatically. We prepared everything and the switchover was done in a matter of seconds, which of course immediately created an extremely positive feedback from the customer. Everybody was very happy. So you see, when you have that old state to new state, those different arrangements, when you prepare it well, it can give you a lot of customer satisfaction, and that builds, let's say, on the future cooperation. And we can talk about emotional intelligence and rapport that you create. Well, you have that data bank that you have. You put money in your data bank when you do things good, and some things when it works bad, you take something out. But in that moment, we got a lot of respect from the people. Everybody was very happy. And at that time, the people from IBM were really surprised. But we did a good job. We prepared everything. We tested it in a test environment. So basically, we were really well prepared. And that's probably the case why it didn't work in the other cases, because people didn't prepare and just say, okay, let's see how it goes, and we do it on the fly. That's also helping you to have a successful project. This was about the different business documents, about the business case. Let's continue with the next steps in the 10-step approach, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you, and bye-bye.